So you don't have boundaries or you don't have really strong boundaries. And because of that, you're not able to really follow through with what works for you. You're kind of forcing yourself to work in a way that is set towards high expectations, for example, right? So you think, oh, if I'm going to work on my CV, it has to look like this because that's what I expect myself. I have to at least be able to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to guilt trip myself, right?
Yeah, I'm very all or nothing, I guess. Like I'll set certain things that I want to do. If I don't achieve those things, then I kind of give up.
Right. Do you feel like your expectations are kind of high when you do that?
Yeah, I guess it's like the inner perfectionist.
Right.
And you're
And
right, there is very little boundaries. So it's kind of like I let like kind of like work and the admin sort of like cross into each other, but because I don't really want to do it, I kind of put it off. And it's just a whole stretch of like wasted time.
right. So that's the thing is you are basically not giving yourself the support that you need. You're giving yourself the support that you think you're supposed to have or that's supposed to work for you. So
Mm.
I can already see that you're comparing yourself to a neurotypical person. I need to do things the neurotypical way. I need to be expecting things from myself that in a way that works for a neurotypical person. But what I'm saying is
Mm.
you don't need to do that. We want to set goals and expectations that work for you. And because our brain works differently with having ADHD, and we have this massive cutoff of dopamine, which is why you feel like it's all or nothing, like 0% or 100% when you work on things, you basically need to work with that and say, well, because it's harder for me to get motivated on something I'm not naturally motivated on because of my neurodiverse brain, I need to make things easier and I need to make things more interesting. And I need to maybe let go of my high expectations, like let go of what they look like, and maybe even create those boundaries because those boundaries are going to help you stay committed to what works for you instead of going outside of those boundaries and saying, but I have to look this way when I'm doing things, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of my boundary crossing is basically driven by the fact that I'm not able to conform to these expectations. So I kind of overcompensate by working more or working for longer.
Right. So, what we want to work on instead of perfection is something I think is the complete opposite, which is consistency.
Oh,
If you, this is a,
I'm very bad at consistency. It's like one day I can do, one day I'll be a superstar and I can do like 200%, and one day it'll be like 5%. And it's tough.
right. But you know what? No one's perfect and no one can work perfectly. What our goal is here is we're trying to work efficiently in a way that you can perform highly and naturally. It won't,
Mm.
you cannot, nobody can perform highly if it's not at least somewhat natural. And for you, this is going against your entire brain type of how your chemistry, your brain chemistry works. So we want to work with it. And this is a true story. There was like a year where I tested out consistency over perfection in a different way, a very visual way, where I said, okay, I'm only gonna pick up. Well, I used to only pick up money like off the floor. If you ever found like a dollar bill on the floor, I would only pick up like dollar bills. If it was change, I wouldn't pick it up because I thought there's no point. I'm not gonna make money from that. It's nothing. They're pennies, or dimes, whatever. So one year I tested it out and I said, okay, anytime I see any change, I'm picking it up and I'm just going to see what that does. And I have this massive jar. This isn't even, I'll get it. Hold on. This this isn't even from that year, but this is still the same thing. This is the jar
Mm.
I use. Like
Hmm.
all of this is more than I would have picked up if I only found dollar bills and only picked up dollar bills. And I still pick up the dollar bills, but with this. But now I'm more consistent. And I have like extra, this is probably almost about $100 right here. Quarters and dimes, like it's crazy. So you'd be surprised what consistency with small actions can do. It never feels it's that you want the feeling of accomplishment. So that's why I'm trying to get you to acknowledge what you do right every time you do it, no matter how small, because you're still giving that to yourself. So I want you to do that with small, consistent actions. And what that also does is it creates a habit. You're building a neural pathway in your brain saying, every time I do this tiny action, I feel good because I reward myself after. Therefore, I'm going to keep doing it. And what's that do? That builds consistency. And basically, it gets you the same results you would have gotten, or you think you would have gotten with perfectionism. But now it feels good. It's small, doable, interesting, and you're doing better. You're working in a way that works for you. Does that make sense?
Mm. So basically just making it smaller.
Yeah, smaller and using that invitation method I was saying, where you start out with a very low expectation instead of a high expectation.
Mm.
You start out instead of thinking, I got to do this whole huge thing, I got to edit this entire CV today. You start out saying, my only intention is to sit down at this exact time I set for myself that works best for me and type one thing, make one tiny change. And then from there, I can ask myself, okay, can I do more? Am I motivated to do more? Am I getting burnt out just thinking about this? Great. Let's check in with myself, ask myself what works, and work with me. You said you
Mm.
have a fiance now. It's like a relationship, right? It is a relationship. So you have to communicate all the time. And so what would happen if he communicated with you or you communicated with him, but about something that you wanted changed, you wanted different, like maybe he did something you didn't like, or you did something he didn't like,
Mm.
and you communicated, but there was no reciprocation, like no, the other person didn't do it. How would that make you feel?
Mm. Ignored.
Right. And that's what's
Mm.
happening with your brain type having ADHD is your brain is constantly trying to communicate with you and say, "Hey, I don't work well this way that you're trying to force me to do. Like I'm not naturally neurotypical. I don't work well with trying to be a perfectionist. Consistency will be easier for me because it's smaller on, I'm working with less commitment on things I'm not really motivated for. And then you're coming in and saying, yeah, that's too bad though, because I have to have things be perfect. That has to look perfect. Right. So that's basically what's happening. And we want you to say instead, okay, I'm going to work with you here. Right.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I'm
But
not telling
you,
you, yeah,
okay. But arguably, even to a neurotypical brain, and a task you don't want to start is a task you don't want to start. How is it different for them?
for neurotypical brain, well, they have an easier time. Uh, they don't require like a lot of motivation to do something, but we do because we have a cutoff of dopamine. It's almost like if there's a hose in our brain that sprays the chemicals, the neuro, of dopamine, the neurotransmitter dopamine. Theirs works fine. Ours has holes in it. So we
Mm.
either have to have more dopamine, like boost it, turn it up, or it's just going to all be spread out and like not hit the target that it's aiming towards.
Mm.
So it's not that they have to be excited or motivated. It's just that it doesn't really feel like as big a challenge as it does for us. It's basically heavier for us. It's like
Mm.
if it's like if they are lifting I don't know, if you're told to lift a 30-pound weight and they're told to lift a 30-pound weight, it's like you're doing it in a room where the gravity is twice as heavy.
Mm.
But it
I
also
see.
means, right. But it also means if you're doing something you're motivated for, it's like you're in a weightless room. Like the weights are almost lifting off the ground and you're lifting that 30-pound weight like it's nothing. But the neurotypical can't do that.
Mm.
Maybe for them, it's like a little lighter, but like you are, that's your superpower.
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing what you mean. It's like a multiplier effect, right? If it's undesirable, it's extra undesirable, extra hard. But if it's easy and interesting, it'll be extra light. So it's like a
Right. So
okay.
I'm trying to get you to change your expectations and
Mm,
make it as weightless as a room as possible.
mm,
And that's in that sense. So that's why we're going
mm.
with the I have zero expectations when I sit down, but I'm setting the time and intention to sit down, work on my CV, and just invite myself after every move I make. And if I need a break, great. I checked in with myself and I noticed I'm learning about how I work best. And I noticed, oh, I can work on my CV for about 20 minutes before I'm burnt out. So I'm going to work on it for 10 minutes and then I'm going to go do something else. And then I'll come back to it later today and work on it for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I see your point. I suppose I don't really listen to my body. I just kind of like flog it to go through.
Right. So
Mm,
what I want you to do, your challenge, is to listen to what your brain is telling you, what your body is telling you. If you feel tension, it's because you're working against it. The thing I tell my clients is if you feel like you're forcing it, that basically means your body's trying to tell you, hey, this is not going to work for me and it's not going to get easier. If you're trying to lift something heavy and you keep trying to lift that heavy thing for another 10 minutes, it's not going to get lighter. It's going to be
mm,
heavier. And then what?
mm,
You're going to think, well, that guy did it. That neurotypical did it. So I guess all I have to do is guilt trip myself because I suck at this now, or I'm not good enough,
mhm,
or whatever it is. And now I need to set higher expectations to lift a 35-pound weight or a 40-pound weight now. Or, it doesn't, that's going the
mm.
wrong direction. I want you to go the other direction and instead say, uh, let's just lift a 10-pound weight 3 times instead of a 30-pound weight 1 time
Okay.
in that sense. I use a lot of analogies and similes. And so, but that's your challenge for the week is I want you to listen, be in tune with what is working and what isn't working for you. Feel it, listen to yourself because we're going to create boundaries around that. And I want you to write it down so that we can be really, really clear on what works for you.
Mm.
Because you won't be able to progress and be a consistent person if you're working in a way that works against you,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Awesome.